Welcome back to Straight Facts on Monday morning. I'm joined by George and Jamie. Sounds like a nice. That's like a nice mix. That it sounds like. You remember back in the day, like BBC One Saturday morning shows. You know, here we are with George and Jamie live on the BBC. It sounds, yes, it rings off the tongue very, very well. We've got loads to talk about today as well. CNN in Portugal stating that Arsenal Football Club are about to put their first official bid in for Victor Gyokeres, also pulling away from Benjamin Šeško. We're delving into that. We're looking at Chelsea. They will not be going in for Mike Mignon as of now. Is that wrong? Plus, reports from Germany that Bayern Munich are now going to make a play for Gittens, who Chelsea narrowly missed out on before the World Club Cup. We're looking at Liverpool as they move in for Gheui for a reported £30 million. Plus, they're looking at HIJACK. And I do mean this in a bit of a jovial way. There is some Ozark money laundering going on here. It's crazy what they're doing.
John Henry, we love you.
It's crazy. And we're also going to be taking a look at Garnacho wearing that shirt. Was it a message? Was it stupidity? Does it show a bad culture at the club? What do people make of it? We're touching Semenyo to Tottenham. He is deemed too expensive for the North London European champions at this particular moment as well. Plus, we'll be touching on the World Club Cup because obviously there's some big results over the weekend. City smashing it 6-0 last night. Madrid winning, basically playing the whole game with 10 men. Chelsea getting slapped up on Friday night, 3-1 as well, which is, shocked a few people. But gentlemen, before we go any further, how are you both? You both good and well on this beautiful Monday morning?
Oh, good. Can't complain. Nice weekend. Nice and warm.
Yeah, same, man. All good. I wouldn't even say nice. It's really muggy. I don't know about you guys. I need to get away from this English hot weather because it's not nice. It's like it's suffocating you. I'm sat here right now and I'm dying. But hey, I'm not supposed. You're not supposed to complain when it's hot in England. You're not supposed to so much.
Yeah, Americans seem to get really annoyed with us. They don't understand, do they? They never understand Americans. They don't get it. They don't get it. You know, the houses are built same as in Ireland, and not that it gets hot too much in Ireland, but it's the houses are built to keep all the heat in. So when it's warm, it's horrible. And we get really muggy, close air. I've been in hotter countries, but you can breathe. In England, once it goes above 25, 26 degrees, you suddenly can't breathe properly. It's kind of mad. So yeah, it's one of those things you've got to come. The other way around, I had some friends stay with me when I was a lot younger from Canada. And I said, look, it's winter, so make sure you bring the right stuff. And they laughed when it's minus 25 every day where I live. And I remember they had like winter clothes. I remember they were shivering. I said, why are you so cold? They went, the cold's different here. I said, yeah, because I've been to Canada in the winter. And when you go outside, yes, it's snowy, but the skies are clear. It's cold, but I said here the rain comes horizontally and it smashes you in the face. The wind chill makes it feel like it's minus 100. They were like, it's a different cold here. It's like wet and cold. When exactly till you experience it. English weather is vile, mate. I tell you, it's either disgustingly cold and horrible or so hot you can't breathe. It's there we go. But loads to delve into and talk about this morning. I wanted to start with Chelsea today, actually, because there are reports from Germany that their deal for Gittens, although it is stated that he has prioritized Chelsea, Bayern Munich are now reportedly going to make a play and could be prepared to pay the asking price to Dortmund that Chelsea refused to pay. This is also coupled with Fabrizio's update that they will not be revisiting the Mike Mignon deal and that they are going to, this is only what Fabrizio said. There are counter arguments to this, but Fabrizio has stated they are fully behind the goalkeepers that stay at the club. Not a good couple of days if you're a Chelsea fan reading the transfer news, gents.
No, not at all. I think Chelsea, at the start of the window and, at the start of the month, I was like, yeah, maybe not bottle job. They're not billionaire bottle jobs no more. We started to call them billionaire bandits because they're doing good moves. They're sneaking out. They're getting players on a cheap, but good players. Now it's really starting to look like the typical Chelsea again, where it's a scattergun approach. They don't really have their eye on one player. They got their eye on about 50, but they're not sure which one of those deals they want to trigger. They tend to start triggering deals when other clubs get involved. So I wouldn't be surprised if for this Bino Gittens deal, they just end up paying the money Dortmund want to get over the line. Because I know personal terms have been agreed for some time. But I think with regards to the goalkeeper situation, it's just an absolute mess. I think it's been very clear to see, not from the Chelsea fans, but from rival fans as well, that their goalkeepers has been probably one of the biggest reasons as to why they finished where they did last year, because they could have pushed on and been a bit better. But Sanchez conceded probably about 5, 6, or 7 important goals that have led to them to sort of have that downfall in form they did between January and April. So I think it's very clear to see that they could have an improvement in goal. To see that a goalkeeper like Mainan is available is just crazy in the first place. Like, he's available 20 million. They paid 20 million for Jorgensen. I'm pretty sure they got 7 goalkeepers on their books that in total they've paid about 70 million for, that he's better than every single one of them. So it makes no sense why they're haggling over 20 million fee euro, especially when the players said, I want Chelsea. I want to come to the club. That should be more than a reason to, let's bring him in. We'll sell 1 or 2 of the other goalkeepers to fund this deal. It makes so much sense. But with Chelsea, you just never know what's going on at that board level. It's just a mess.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you actually look at the Chelsea team, they did well. They got Champions League last year. Their ambition of where they wanted to be was probably exactly what they achieved. I think goalkeeper and centre forward are probably the 2 areas most Chelsea fans feel like they need to improve on. And the fact that they can get someone for 20 million, I'm almost certain they paid 25 million for Sanchez as well from Brighton. So it just doesn't make sense that they're not going out and strengthen the 2 areas that they can obviously do. I think the lap coming in will help them in the forward area, but I still think most Chelsea fans will want to get in another striker. I think Jackson, a lot of them are fed up with the antics that have gone on with him. They maybe don't want to see him in the team. And I think if they get in another striker, they obviously talk of Osimhen, and I think Gittens maybe added to the squad will help. But yeah, it's a weird situation. I think it is very different, because the Chelsea that I grew up watching was Abramovich. It was like, we buy players to win things. We buy players to go out and to get us over the line in certain situations. And I think this new model that they have is something that, I don't know, I feel like I'm trying to adapt to it. I don't think they're serial winners in the way that they want. It's more like a business. And I think that's something that they have to kind of adjust to as fans, which is probably not what they want to hear.
Yeah, I sort of look at it from it's one of those things for me where I feel like Gittens, I still think they'll get done. Fabrizio has stated, along with a number of others, that he really wants Chelsea. And Dortmund, if they can help it, this might help Chelsea actually with Gittens, that Dortmund don't really want Bayern Munich getting him. The other German teams don't really want their best players ending up at Bayern Munich. So they may turn around and think, well, do you know what? If Munich come in at 45 million and Chelsea have offered 42, maybe we'll revisit that and just say yes. The difference of 3 million euros might be worth it for them to not have Bayern Munich get him. But if the opposite happens and we end up in a situation whereby Chelsea do miss out on Gittens, who are they then going to move for as an example? Because they don't look to be targeting too many players that are overly expensive in terms of the fee being gargantuan. They don't look like they want to give out big wages at this moment. So for instance, the reason they've frozen conversations with Ekitike is the 100 million euro asking price and the salary demand. One of the reasons that Arsenal were pulling back from Šeško is that for a player that a year ago agreed to the terms, but just wanted to delay the move by a year, what he's now asking for in salary is too much. I can't imagine Chelsea paying someone like him that kind of money. They don't appear to want to, that's why Garnacho's on their list, because he's currently on £50,000 a week. Therefore, he would probably be willing to accept 100k, 120. But anyone who's already earning 150 plus to move to Chelsea, they're going to want a lot more money than that because of the space they're in. So that's the only fear point I think Chelsea fans should have on this is if Bayern Munich, and one thing is Bayern Munich can turn his head. There is no doubt about it. Bayern Munich have the ability to turn Gittens' head because they are who they are. And that's not a dig at Chelsea. It's just the reality of the situation. They're a giant club. He's already in Germany enjoying his football. That could happen for him. The Mike Maignan thing is going to be the most interesting one. I spoke about it yesterday. Simon Phillips and a few other Chelsea in the knows have said that they haven't quoted Fabrizio, but they've essentially said his reporting isn't as they understand it, that they may revisit Mike Maignan later in the window, and they are looking at other goalkeeping options. So they may go back in for it. But I suppose it's Chelsea fans, it feels really up and down at the minute. You know, when they won their opening game against LAFC, the lap was through the door. They were linked to some players. It was like, I think still good. You fast forward a week, there's some hijacks in the offering that their reports are they're not going to sign a new goalkeeper, and they get battered, comprehensively battered 3-1. Jackson gets himself sent off, and suddenly there is this kind of nervousness and this frustration surrounding Arsenal again. So, sorry, Chelsea again. So yeah, look, they're in an interesting situation at the minute. Did you guys watch the game the other day as well? Did you see their match?
No, I didn't get to watch it.
Yeah, no, I caught little bits of it, but didn't actually watch the full game.
Yeah, they were really poor. By and large, that they were really poor. And I'm not taking anything away from Flamengo, who played brilliantly. They did. And I'm not even trying to play down the Brazilian league. I think the Brazilian and South American team seem so up for this. They're so up for it. It's unbelievable. Chelsea should still be beating them, though. How do I say this in the right way? Like, Jorginho starts in midfield for them. And I think that Jorginho is a very good player, but it tells you the current level they're at. If that's someone I would want to bring back in.
Terry, been really impressed though with the way like the Brazilian. We always knew the technical level in Brazil is way high. Like we already knew that, but how they're actually playing in the games, how quick they're moving the ball, they're playing out front. I've been surprised how competent they are against the bigger sides, because especially on the ball, they are so good, and like they're matching the level of the likes of Chelsea. You've seen Real Madrid, PSG, like they're getting matched, man for man. And when you're seeing them build out from the back, it's quick, it's good. Their actual football is good. Obviously, the level of player and quality is below, but the football itself is really good.
It's good. And I'm actually taking nothing away from them. I think Rango here says passion and heart. They're coming into this tournament to win it, and the South American sides always took the World Club Cup when it was just that short tournament in December. They always took it seriously. I think that there is a bit of frustration in South America that so many of their young talent now, it's different from years gone by, sort of the 90s backwards, where a lot of their main talent stayed in Brazil for a lot longer. Now you're seeing 15, 16-year-olds leave and go, as opposed to when they used to come over, they'd do 2, 3, 4, 5 years and then move across to Europe. Not always. I mean, R9 came across quite young as an example, but they seem to do more time in Brazil back then. But they're up for it. And I think some of the European teams have been caught a little flat-footed and maybe a little bit arrogant, a little bit of arrogance of, well, we're the strongest continent. And club-wise, I do think that there's truth in that. If you put the top 10 South Americans and the top 10 European teams in a league, I do think you'd get some of the South Americans in the top 10, but I think most of the top 10 would be European sides over the course of a season. But yeah, they've been excellent. The football's been good. They've attacked. It's ironically, their club sides in Brazil have impressed me more than the national team have done in years gone by. Like, they're actually attacking and playing nice football, and yeah, they look really, really good. And Chelsea were just caught cold. They almost like they didn't know what to do a little bit. And same with the PSG game the other day. I mean, PSG, so it's not even a Chelsea dig. PSG lost. And, you know, even yesterday with Madrid, I know they won 3-1. Better finishing from, is it like Pancho? Better finishing from them. And they should have been leading. Courtois saved them on a number of occasions. And I know the red card helped. But they're up for it. They're the teams that have actually made the World Club Cup palatable for me. Like the South American and Central American teams have been excellent.
Yeah, I think I'd say I know. So I can see some people saying in the chat as well. The South American team, they're obviously at different points in the season. I think there is an arrogance about the European teams and the fact that they've obviously had the climax of their season where they might be taking their foot off the gas a little bit. And I think some new players, like you look at Trent coming into the team, he's obviously still adjusting to Real Madrid and stuff. So I think there is that, but I definitely do think the Brazilian teams are giving it a good go, because if they say that revenue that they generate from the Club World Cup would be huge for them if one of them were to go on and win it. You know what I mean? So I think it makes sense for them to put a lot more into it, and I think it's obviously Madrid, Chelsea. They obviously want to win it for their financial aspects, but it's not as big if they were to win it in terms of the revenue that generates for their respective clubs. So I think anything can happen, and I think we've seen some of the results that has obviously have happened so far. So, I think in terms of making it palpable, it has definitely made it more enjoyable. Like the fact that the European teams aren't just like walking over other teams in the league, other than Bayern Munich winning 10-0.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
I've got to agree with that. I think seeing some of the big Europeans, even when we saw Rome draw with Al Hilal, you know, seeing a Saudi side play some good football and actually be the better team for some point, it's like, okay, it's a reality check that Europe, although we are ahead of a lot of the league, we aren't as much ahead as a lot of people think. A lot of people think the gap is like night and day, and it doesn't seem like that anymore. So it's actually refreshing. It's proper refreshing to see.
No, I agree. I think it is. It's I'm enjoying seeing it. And Lawrence here says that the Club World Cup was just before it started, and quite a few European players and coaches believed the hype. I think but it's also dismissed because it's the, you know what? A lot of times in life, new things get dismissed. A lot of the time, we all did it with the Super League. The knee-jerk reaction was, no, this is terrible. But I actually think if they went ahead with it by now, it'd be the norm, and would all be watching it and would be reacting to it and doing content on it as an example. I just think that there were things, the planning around this was poor. They've also hosted it in a nation that's not, the country isn't that interested in it. And that's an important factor. You know, this happens actually quite a bit in World Cups where the host nation goes out. Often a lot of interest locally in it is taken away. I don't think it helps having it on Channel 5 and DAZN being a streaming network, so you can't just put it on the television. I think all these things are there, but that's because the TV companies here in the UK and many similar across Europe, they did their research, and the viewers are like, not that interested. And so it's a little bit of a combination. Are our clubs underplaying it because they know the fans are underplaying it? It becomes a little bit of a cycle where I think in South America, I think the Middle East clubs, I think this is a chance for them to prove themselves. It's a chance to generate organic income to help them grow and develop and maybe hold on to some stars. So, but I'm starting to enjoy it more and more now that it's opening up and everything else. And the last set of group games over the next 4 days, then it's the knockouts. I think the knockouts going to be really, really fun. So, yeah, we'll be tuned in for that. I want to touch for a minute on Tottenham, George, because I saw the Ornstein update a couple of days ago, and I thought, oh, hang on, what's going on here? What's happening here? You see it come through. You see the picture of Semenyo, and I don't know about you, I always look at the picture first, and then I go, oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
And essentially, we'll boil it all down to the main point he was making. Spurs want Semenyo, but he's going to be too expensive. What's your reading of that situation, and are you concerned that you now won't make that move for him?
Do you know what? I'm not as concerned. I think this is Tottenham doing what Tottenham doing. Like we're just putting it out there that we're not willing to pay what clubs want for players, and we've done this for many years. Tottenham just don't pay what clubs want. We're always going to try to pay under. Do what, you know, like Man United do. Oh, we haven't really got money. We can't. They were briefing us before the summer transfer window. Tottenham aren't going to have that much money to spend. So they're going out there and they're just playing their cards. What I do agree with Tottenham in saying that Semenyo's not a £70 million player. That's what Bournemouth want from him. They want more than what we paid for Solanke. And let's have it right. We paid 65 million for Solanke. Part of that was because he's English and homegrown. If he wasn't English and homegrown, EU could knock about 20-25 mil off that. Now, Semenyo, when you look at the level of player and compare him to some of his other people that are at his level, the João Pedros, the Mbomos, players that are available in the market at the moment in similar positions at a similar level, you'd go and say, yeah, he's going to go for around £60 million. So I can't be mad at Bournemouth asking for that, because I think all these other players are all commanding this fee. So all clubs are just maintaining, and they're trying to, keep that competition that we're going to go with the fee that Brentford want for Mbomo. Just so if you don't get Mbomo, you get Semenyo. If you don't get, it's going to be a knock-on effect when you look at it that way. I'm not entirely mad at the situation at the moment. I've been very calm with Tottenham's transfer window as a whole, because for one, I'm a European champion. Let's have it right. So I'm still in the celebration mode. I'm still in the celebration mode. I'm not in the, I'm seeing Chelsea and Arsenal fans are always in the, I want to win the transfer window. And they're all trying to get that little adrenaline pump from the transfer window. I know Liverpool, they're just having the greatest time ever. They won the league and now they got
we've already won both.
Yeah, you won them both already. Like this has been a great month for you. But from our point of view, I'm not that worried until we get into January. Still, we start approaching pre-season. So for this Semenyo deal in particular, I do agree with Tottenham that he's not worth that money, but I do think sometimes you have to pay what you want for the player. if Thomas Frank wants Semenyo as the alternative option to Mbomo, who looks like he's going to Manchester United, then that needs to be it. You need to go and get the player that he wants, the player that had a very, very good season last year. Now, you can do something to negotiate the deal where you do it in installments or however it needs to be. But if you don't pay 65 to 70 mil for him, you're going to have to end up paying that for another player at his level, or pay 30 million for a player like Tell. And that's the quality of player we're going to get in the Champions League. So we need proven, we need experience, and we need players that have done it in the Prem. We need to go and get the job done eventually. But right now, I'm a bit calm about the situation. Just need to see how it plays out over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of Semenyo, to be fair. I don't think he's worth 70 million, but I think Bournemouth they're probably just, they feel like they probably don't need to sell him. Do you know what I mean? They obviously have the Sanka money from last year. They've obviously sold a lot of their players, or going to sell a lot of their players this summer. I think PSG are interested in the centre back, and they're holding out for 70 million for him as well. Yeah. So Gyokeres 40 million, Huijsen 50 million. So I think they're probably just saying, listen, we don't want to lose him, but if we do lose him, we want to get a good price for him. So I think with Semenyo, the question would be, and I think it's similar with maybe same with Solanke, is if they move to say Spurs, or move, say Mbuemo moving to Man United, those players, can they maybe take another step and obviously develop? I think that's maybe the risk that you're taking with someone like Semenyo. But I think he definitely does have the quality to go in and maybe kick on with someone like Spurs. So yeah, it's probably, I think 70 million would be a bit high. I'm probably thinking more 55, 60 is maybe where he's at. Even then, you might be pushing it a little bit. But yeah, I think he is a good player, someone that could definitely elevate the squad. Because I think Son is someone that maybe might be moving on. I think they're Saudi. We're looking at being potentially interested in him. And Richarlison just hasn't cut it at Spurs. So I think he will be someone that would maybe go in and definitely bring something to the team.
Do you know what? I'm glad to hear what you said, George. Glad to hear someone that isn't panicking over the transfer window. And I said this last week, and I'll give this analogy again. Just because you're panicking, and by the way, people didn't start panicking on the 23rd of June, where we are now. They've been panicking since about the 25th of May. So it's been a month. So let's not let them pretend that, well, it's getting closer now, Terry, I'm allowed to panic. You've been panicking for a whole month. So that's really important to remember. And the reason why I say that, and the analogy I give is this: if I've got to be at work at 10 a.m. and it's an hour's journey, I think leaving at 9 a.m. or after is stupid, because you're probably going to be late because of traffic. But it would be sensible to leave at about 8:30. Give yourself half-hour leeway. If you're a really prudent person, you might go 8:15. But most people are not going to leave for an hour's journey at 8 a.m. It's crazy. The way these guys are talking about, you've got to get it all done quick. These guys are charlatans, because they wouldn't leave for work at 5 a.m. to get there. And that's how I view this, right? So it doesn't all need to be done straight away. I also did some research into this. When I was sitting in the sun over the weekend, I can't just lay there. I get really bored. So I started doing some research. And what I found, and this is a fact, and I cross-referenced it, did the maths, everything. So between 1992 and 2025, so the Premier League era, on average, only 10% of all transfers made and completed, so players in, by the top 6 clubs in England. And I use the top 6 clubs because we're the richer ones who should find it easier theoretically to sign players. The top 6 clubs have completed only 10% of their entire transfers each summer in the opening week, i.e. the last 7 days of the transfer window. The highest the percentage has ever been, and it happened on 2 occasions in 2005 and 2010, was 15%. And this is why, although on the surface, we need to get that business done now. Look what Liverpool doing. We've got to get it done now. We've got to improve. I get it. But then you have to look at the trends and the reality. And if you go over the last 33 years, there's been times in that where Arsenal have been amazing and bad, United amazing and bad, Liverpool amazing and bad, and the percentage doesn't change by any crazy amount. By and large, the percentage around 10 to 15% of your total. So that means if you're signing 5 players, that means not even one on average is getting done in the first 7 days of the transfer window. So you can remain relaxed. And of course, what you'll get is people say yap him. That's because, but this is it. This is the issue. Whenever you give them a bona fide fact, a normal sane person thinking would go, a normal sane person's thinking would be, do you know what? I'm going to put pressure on the club still to get things done. But maybe in the opening week, I'm not going to throw baby out with the bathwater and go crazy. Going to give it a little bit of time. And by this way, even if you get halfway through pre-season, George, and you haven't signed anybody, the guys that were moaning from the end of May, they weren't right. They're still wrong because it's not normal to sign for. What Liverpool have done is amazing so far this summer. They've got two official players in, right? Or was it three?
Two and then Gyokeres.
Yeah.
Well, they have Marc video as well from last year. So
but this is crazy. What Liverpool are doing is mad. They've got the Gheui thing coming up. Will they go in for HIJACK? Gyokeres will happen. It's still only two players, right? It's not. They haven't done 5 completed deals by this date, right? And it's amazing. But, look, Arsenal have got Semenyo done. United have got Cunha. Don't look at City as an example. They rushed those deals through because of the Club World Cup. It's an anomaly. It's not the norm. And I just think the panic has been slightly overstated. And I stand on it. Yes, if Man United don't have anyone else in by halfway through our pre-season tour, the people moaning would say, I told you I was right. No, Brad, you're a spaghetti slinger. You threw loads of spaghetti at the wall and you're hoping something sticks. You're not right. It would be abnormal. It would be beyond. It has to be. How can the highest percentage ever be 15%? Suddenly we're setting this new standard where 50% of all your transfers have got to be done by the first week of the transfer window. That's just ridiculous. It's a standard you're setting so you can moan because you know it's never going to happen. And I've got the facts for that. 10% is the average. And a lot of our clubs have done around about 10% of our business. It's just normal. So I'm glad to hear you, George, ain't panicking yet because it's genuinely crazy. It's genuinely crazy.
I think the main thing is that like you get the signings in before the end of the window. Do you know what I mean? I think like obviously throughout a transfer window, because there's so much speculation, you'll see like reports coming out, Fabrizio, Ornstein, unreliable journalists, rumors, everything. So people are kind of, their attention is constantly being triggered about like, oh, are we going to get this player? Are we not going to get this player? Are we going to pay this amount? What's the wages? So we're constantly talking about transfers. And when nothing is getting done, people get frustrated. But at the end of the day, it matters who you bring in and how you obviously that impacts the season. Like you look at Liverpool last year, there was so much chaos around Liverpool not signing any players with a new manager coming in, and the fact that we fell off in terms of our legs the season before. They bring in Chiesa for 12 million and then they go on and win the Premier League. So like, what do we know what we're talking about? Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is the thing. Someone here, sorry to interject. Someone says, Terry, stop doing your transfer videos. And no, because I'm calm. I like talking about them. I'm not losing my mind. You get off the fucking internet, you pleb. It's nothing to do with me. I enjoy it. And if we miss out and I'm angry, I still enjoy that. This is the way I view it. Some things in this world make me angry, like losing a football match. But that's part of the journey of being a football fan, is losing. If losing football matches genuinely makes me miserable, and this is what I say, I've got to this point now with football fans. If watching football, which has a lot of losses in it, in fact, most teams lose more than they win. How do we know this? Well, there's 150 years of football in England. So that means there's been 150 league titles fought for, 150 odd FA Cups fought for. There's been 60 or 70 Carabao Cups played for. There's been, I don't know now how many Champions Leagues have been played. Let's just say there's 80. Simple math shows that all of us lose more of them than we win. And if losing these things puts you into a level of depression that you can't ever get out of, you shouldn't watch sport. It isn't for you. You need to do something where you nearly always win. I don't know what that is. By the way, no sport's good for you because all sport is like that. And that's the bit that I find frustrating. It's that every minute is like panic and craziness. But what you're asking to change has been the same for 150 years and won't change. You are King fucking Canute. You are King Canute demanding the tide don't come in. It's genuinely, you're bona fiable. You're bona fiable if you think that it's going to change after. It's mad. No, I've got standards. No, you're fucking delusional. If you're going to, and I mean this, you're delusional if you're only ever going to be angry when your team doesn't succeed. You will always lose more than you win. Even Real Madrid, they don't have all they lose more La Liga titles than they win in their club's history. Does that mean you've got to be depressed until they have the highest percentage? It doesn't even make sense. You'll never enjoy the game. Anyway, we digress. Calm down a bit, people. You're absolutely wrong. And yes, it's yapping. What that means is, oh, yeah, he's right, actually. But I want to live in this delusional world and be angry. I know it's the only way some people get attention online, but there we go. Yes, you are a proper Melts. Proper Melts. And that ain't how you talk either, brother. I know if you were near me, you wouldn't be speaking like that. It'd be like, oh, can I have an autograph, please? All shy, putting your arm around me for a picture. Do you know what I mean? That's a joke. Yeah, it's just, I had to let it out, man. I had to let it out because I'm just been watching so much stuff recently and I'm like, what is going on? What is going on with people? It just feels abnormal. Morning, Terry, Jaws, and Jamie. Hope you and your families are well.
Big up, Sam, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, all good here. And thank you to Mustafa for becoming a brand new member of the Football Terrace as well. We appreciate that massively here. We really, really do. Terry could be a motivational teaching class to the Gen Z idiots and you'd be a hit. But it ain't just Gen Z, bro. It's people my age as well. And this is what I find the weirdest about people my age doing it. It's like, how did you even fall in love with this game? It doesn't even make sense. You loved it at some point. Now you're angry about every facet. And not much has really changed. Not much has changed. And this is the funniest bit. If it's the media and the PR and everything else, then just get off the internet and just watch the games. Don't go near the rest. That's the bit I don't understand. So I hate transfer news. Then why follow it? Delete X for the whole summer. You don't need it because nothing's happening in football, right? Delete it. Stay away from it. You don't need to be here. I'm scared of bees and wasps. Do you know what I do? I don't go anywhere near them. I don't go, I'm going to start a new hobby. I'm going to be a beekeeper. It wouldn't make any sense. If you hate transfers, don't engage. It's so strange, man. So strange. So strange. It really, really is. Super chat here says emotion is king nowadays. Context takes a backward seat because people just want to have their emotions validated, which is why I have an issue when Terry takes time and energy explaining things for context. These people don't care. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's
true. That is true. People but I think in the world of social media as well, people can be very impatient, or if you're online or like even like, you know, on Twitter, you get a lot of clickbaiters, you know what I mean? They put up stuff and they just drive engagement or so and stuff. Even sometimes they create fake stats just to drive engagement. So I think in the world of, say, transfers, where it is very speculative, people obviously can nibble at that or can get frustrated why things aren't happening. Especially like sometimes there's rumors that go around and it's completely false and they'll be like wondering why it's not happening. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just, you kind of have to find your way through all the through all the dirt.
I think one thing people fail to realize is sometimes we're just like reporters in a way. We're not actually journalists. So when you talk about transfer news and they say, "Oh, don't make videos about them again," we're just giving our opinion on the story and giving you what we feel is what we'll do for the club. Not actually telling you, this is going to happen on this day, this time. No one. We're just spreading the news.
This is it. And this is the thing. And this is it. If you don't like that kind of content, that is what 95% of the summer content is. Just don't go on YouTube. This is the matter. Even if you see my video, do you know what you can do? Is scroll past it. You clicking on and going, "Oh, I don't like this." You don't need to do it. Ricky Gervais said it perfectly. It's like going down to your local town, and every town in England, every town and village has like a notice board. And there's loads of stuff on there: yoga lessons, dog walking, ironing services. And Ricky Gervais said it's like seeing someone who's offering guitar lessons, phoning them up and going, "I don't want guitar lessons." It's again, and that's why sometimes you need the context and you need someone that sometimes call these things out, because you realize, actually, if you did that, that would be seen as mental. That would be seen as you're off your nut, mate. That is what if I told my friends, do you know what I did? I got so angry seeing somebody offer guitar lessons, like I want guitar lessons. They'll all go, "You self-indulgent prick." Again, if you don't like transfer, it ain't for you. So the people that enjoy it. Example being Liverpool 133 Premier League seasons, but only 20 league titles. Yes. So based on this logic of standards, every Liverpool fan should be angry because your win percentage is good, But look how many you lost. This means out of 113 league, there's 113 times you've entered the league and not won it. You're a disgrace, bruv. That is disgraceful. You know, what a disgrace. You're not winning enough. It's crazy. It doesn't make, again, when you extrapolate these points, and it's not that you shouldn't be angry that your club hasn't done business per se, but it's when you start to think logically and go, actually, is my train of thought right? You start to look at it and go, actually, maybe I'm going a bit too far and a bit too extreme. Moving on from that, big reports. So if you don't like the kind of transfer stuff, you might as well leave now. But big report from CNN this morning, gents, that Arsenal are now ready to advance in their conversations and dealings for Victor Gyokeres, and a bid will be placed. Now, of course, we saw the Portuguese record state that a week or so ago, and it wasn't true. CNN, though, now claiming that they're going to advance on that deal. This comes at the same time as the Mirror and John Cross, who's pretty well connected at Arsenal, has sort of stated that conversations with Šeško are cooling due to his wage demands, and it does now appear more likely that they will go for the Gyokeres deal. I mean, this will be something surely that would be, if this is true, this will be a massive shot in the arms, George, for Arsenal fans and their progression this season.
Yeah, man, hook it to their veins. They're going to be loving this one. And I don't blame them. I've said all along that I couldn't understand what the delay was in choosing between Šeško and Gyokeres, because Šeško's got, for one, a high fee plus high wages. I think Gyokeres' wages aren't crazy. He's not asking for anything stupid. Plus, when you look at the fee, it's a better fee. You're getting an experienced player. You know what you're getting with Gyokeres. They should be happy about this. They should be. I mean, this is a deal that could potentially be the difference between them winning a trophy next season and not winning a trophy. So Arsenal fans should be more than happy about this. Gyokeres is a top signing. And yeah, man, I generally just don't understand what the delay has been. Like you said, like there's no rush to get the deal over the line, but there's just confusion. And I suppose it's a bit Arsenal playing it smart, you know, not saying to Sporting that we want Gyokeres, that they're still keeping their options open, because they're giving themselves that negotiation power. But at the same time, I think you can see a player wants a club wants a player. You should just get the deal done, especially when obviously we know the rumors for the fee is that it's gone up slightly from what it was previously with the release clause and so on, but it's still not a crazy fee. We're looking at Tottenham potentially playing 70 million pounds for Semenyo and up and coming players that aren't too proven. Gyokeres is proven, and a lot of people say, "Oh, yeah, he's gone to Portuguese league. It's only Portuguese league." I mean, scoring 40, 50 goals in the Portuguese league. He's doing what is expected of him in a smaller league. So yeah, man, great deal. Definitely like a bit jealous as a rival fan, you know, because this pushes Arsenal further ahead of us. But this could be a real game changer for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've spoken about it a few times on Straight Facts. I think Gyokeres is probably someone I'd lean more towards than Šeško. And the fact that Šeško is now demanding like more wages, and he said he wanted to stay an extra year at Leipzig, and now he's like kind of upping his price. Doesn't make sense. So I think Gyokeres, but he's been in the Championship. He knows what it's like in England, and then he's went to the Portuguese league, and I think he had the most goals in Europe this season, but because of the coefficient, he didn't win the Golden Boot because of the Portuguese league. They have like 0.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
So Mbappe won it. So like, I think him coming in, he knows what it takes. He knows how to score goals. Šeško, I think, is someone more of a project. Maybe has a bit more in terms of long term, but I think that's not what Arsenal need right now. They need someone to come in and hit the ground running, and they can't wait 2 or 3 years for someone to come good. They need someone to come good now, straight away. So I think that would be the better option for them.
Yeah, I got the funniest comment ever put up here. I love this comment. This is beautiful. It says, "I'm a Spurs fan and ex-City fan, but Haaland's clearer Gyokeres. Sorry, man." What? The opening line is just...
No, like,
bro.
How is he a Spurs fan and an ex-City fan? Like, I'm so confused.
What I would say about this, you shouldn't ever change teams, and I do think a law needs to be written. However, he hasn't. It's not like he's. I mean this with respect, George. It's not like he stepped up Do you know what I'm saying? It's like he's gone. He's gone the other way.
That's
So
why
you
I'm
can't.
confused. I'm so confused. Like, if you was a ex-City fan back in the day, then maybe in like 20, even if you chose in 2008, you made the wrong choice by going Spurs. Even though we were a little bit better for a small period, but I need to know which way when this happened. It's mad. I've never heard that.
I've never heard it either. Do you remember when Specs was doing that interview with Gary Neville and says he has 2 teams?
Yeah.
And Gary Neville was like, you can't do that. And he's like, where's the rule? And I thought it was a funny line. But then, like, who's your second team? And when he said Burnley, it was funny because it was almost like, I think Gary was expecting him to say like a Barcelona or a team that was currently winning. When he said Burnley, it made me die. It was so funny. Aya here says, I'm excited for Gyokeres, but I'm slightly concerned and pissed with Šeško's disrespect towards my club. This is the second player now, Vlahovic. The board must take note and start winning major honors more seriously. I look at it this way. I mean, I think some of the confusion in the negotiations was manifested by Arsenal in this twin negotiation process they have, because, and I just said that just now, twin negotiation. I like that. It sounds clean, but like market opportunity. It'll be a new one people use soon.
Patent it.
Yeah, exactly. Mark it down. That will really trigger the people that hate transfer stories. Oh, another buzzword. But yeah, for me, like, they've gone in and negotiated with both, and the stories keep coming out. And sometimes there'll be a bit of embellishing. Sometimes there'll be the complete truth. But a lot of the stories have said that Šeško keeps pushing for more money. He wants buyout clauses. At the same time as asking for that, there's stories that he's unsure whether he'll be able to get Kai Havertz out the first team. Where Gyokeres is just saying, I want to be paid well, but I'll accept that. Give me the 9 shirt. I don't care who's currently playing number 9. Let me come to the club and show you. I think a lot of that is going to help make Arsenal's minds up.
Yeah.
Equally, it's why they haven't rushed, because sometimes in the recruitment process of a football player, it might be someone that wants to come and work for your business, whatever it may be. Sometimes in that recruitment process, you can see who you really want. So, for instance, there's a phrase that's always used in the corporate world. It's always easy. It's not a very good phrase, but people say it. Like, it's always easier to find a new job when you've already got one. And I've always felt that's because you're less desperate in interviews. You're not chasing up for an answer straight away. And that desperation can sometimes put an employer off. They're like, oh, why are you so eager, like, for this job? I know you want it because maybe you've got to pay bills or you really want to get out of where you are. But if you become under pressure in this job, are you going to be like that with clients? Are you going to like become a little bit insufferable in the office? Are you going to maybe lose it with a client or whatever it may be? So I think sometimes you can see people's true colors, or they can reveal something to you in this process. And I think that's part of the reason that Berta does what he does. On Gyokeres, I've been saying, well, look, I want him at United. I'm not going to change my mind. He's fantastic. Liverpool have done bits, absolute bits, to a point where I'm not even sure if it's legal what they're doing right now, Liverpool, and they're going for Gheui. They might go and get HIJACK. Arsenal, though, have bought in Zubimendi, and I think this is maybe the most understated transfer that will happen all summer. Maybe potentially because the hype off of him from 2 years ago has gone away. Maybe because of the Liverpool situation. Maybe because the deal was seen as done since January. No one really cares. I think he's phenomenal. You throw Gyokeres into this team, he's an absolute bagsman. Anyone that's considering Arsenal falling off next season, if this signing goes through, I'm not predicting them to win the league. Liverpool are still my favourites, but they are going to be there. They will be there pushing Liverpool, I think, this year until the very end. Last campaign, they drew 14 games. The amount of those draws that with a world-class striker I think would have become victories. I'm being conservative when I say 5. It's more likely to be near 8. The amount of those games where they didn't have someone in the right position, someone couldn't score goals. I think they can turn a lot of those draws next season into wins. I think they'll win far more games than they did this year. So, yeah, phenomenal business if they get it done. But I also think it's important for the transfer market, because then I think everyone knows who's gone. You'll then see anyone else who's interested in Šeško then move in. And I think my club, Man United, need it, because we're being held up now by Arsenal. Not that Arsenal should give a shit about United being held up, but I think it maybe helps us refocus on who we want to go for. It then might speed up what Liverpool are doing, because Liverpool look like they want Isak. I still don't think you'll chase him all summer. and then miss out. So if you think it's doable, I think you'll go for the juggler. I really do think you will. If not, you may then move on and go, right, we'll go for Šeško, or do you know what, we'll go for Ekitike now, because Šeško is probably going to then find another club, and we don't want to miss out on him either. So I think it will speed the market up as well. There'll be a little bit of a domino effect. But this will be just like Liverpool's. This will be sobering business from them. And look, I don't think there's many excuses left anyway, but there'll be no excuses to not pick up a trophy next year, adding Zubimendi and Gyokeres to what is already a very good Arsenal team. You know, I know there's always a lot of shit that gets said about them, but they are a very good team. They add these players. Major trophies really could be coming their way, I think.
Yeah, just think it fits one of the main issues they had last season, where they took a step back in their attack. Their attack just didn't look as deadly. They missed that key clinical finisher, but also they just missed that fluidity. Feel like there wasn't someone to piece it together. And having Gyokeres, they're going to have to change the way they set up for their attacks a bit. There'll have to be a change with the system, some slight tweaks. But he's such a maverick who can get the ball all by himself, run past a player, similar to HIJACK and so on, that you just get the ball to him, you put the ball in the box, he's going to get there, he's going to create, he's going to score goals. So he's such a difference maker in that sense. Like, Arsenal don't really need to do much to accommodate for him. It's just get the ball into the right areas, and he's going to do what he does, and that's score goals, man.
Yeah, I think, with Arsenal, it is going to do or die. I think if Arteta doesn't have a good start, and if they're not kind of at the forefront of winning a Premier League or a Champions League next season, I think the Premier League is probably being in the Premier League race is probably more important than being in a Champions League race, because if they get, like, every game they go in, there'll be so much pressure if they're out of the Premier League, like this season with the Champions League. Like, every game they're into the PSG game, there's so much pressure. They had to win it. Whereas if the Premier League, they're kind of just tipping away, getting wins. Like you said, they were drawing too many. They were dropping points. Like, I remember they had a chance to close the gap on Liverpool against West Ham. They lose that, and then Liverpool go and beat Man City away, and then it's just done. Do you know what I mean? They're just deflated. So I think Liverpool, in my opinion, are going to be favourites. I didn't think they were going to spend this big this summer, considering they'd already won the league. And I think that we're probably going to see a little bit more what Slot wants his team to be, because I think they were still an imprint of Klopp. And I think he'll take the traits of Klopp and imprint what he wants out of this team. Frimpong and Gyokeres are going to add a lot more in terms of variability than maybe what Trent and Robertson were offering last season. I think Trent last season played a lot deeper. I think Frimpong is someone that's going to bomb on a lot more. So I think Arsenal, they have to get the signings right, because if there is any kind of tail off or any issues in the season, the pressure, I think, on them becomes a lot more bigger than, say, if Man City or Liverpool kind of drop off a little bit.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think that's why these signings are so important. They want to get off. I think they've got to get off to a really good start. I still think that's why the draw was manufactured. I still don't believe that Man United Arsenal was a fluke. Again, if people have missed.
No, Terry, you're lying to this, are you?
I'm different. So hear me out on this. Hear me out. I don't think it's a conspiracy to damage anybody's season. So I don't think it's like, let's give Arsenal a hard start and United a hard start so we can ruin their season. I think it's more about media narratives. I believe the Premier League and the media outlets connected to them, I think there's always a little bit of a
pressure.
I think they're always in cahoots with each other. I'll give you an example. I'm enjoying parts of the Club World Cup now. It's growing on me. Yeah. But there are certain media outlets that every step of the way are just pushing the propaganda. And we knew that would happen. We stated it weeks before. That certain journalists will be getting a nice little bit of money from FIFA or access to things now and in the future to say nice things. Yeah. And I think most people go, that makes sense. So if that exists, I don't see why it's this crazy call that the media outlets and the Premier League wouldn't work together in this way, because you don't damage the integrity of the league by a team having a hard start and a team having an easy start, because what it also means is that team that had an easy start will have a hard run at another point in the season. But what I think they have done is the only two managers out of the top six that are under genuine pressure from the first ball being kicked. And I'm not we're all under pressure, but more pressure is Arteta in United. We all know if Ruben starts poorly, calls for him to get, because of how bad we were last year, the calls for the sack are coming quick. We know if Arteta starts badly, the Arteta out mob will be on it. So let's put them together. Let's give them a hard run. That being said, and I also stated this at the same time, there's the chance for the opposite as well, which is also what the media want. Imagine Man United win 5 of their opening 6 games against those hard teams. Imagine what they're then going to be saying about, oh my God, he's made them click. They could do this, they could do that. Same with Arsenal. It will be in the other direction. So I do believe there's an element here, because I used to think that what they tell you is that the process is automated, right? Yeah. It's automated, then it's manually checked. There's a complete manual checking process of it before they announce it. People go, they have to manually check it in case they put Arsenal and Spurs at home at the same time. I'm like, bruv, ChatGTP wouldn't make that mistake if you just typed in what to do. So don't tell me the algorithm needs, like, I get why you would review it in case there's an anomaly, but humans are more likely to make a mistake than the algorithms nowadays when it comes to a fixture list, right? But it's, man, I think I've always felt these things are done. You know, it's also been well documented that Liverpool, their early games, is not for any other reason than the sort of Eastern market and the amount of Liverpool fans that are out there, and they like to get Liverpool on early to cater to that. Again, that's the Premier League working in conjunction with media outlets. That's less of a narrative conversation, but that's about getting eyeballs on games. I just think this is what it's all about. This creates a story for the start of the season, which is massive, which is why Arsenal, because we're on the subject of Arsenal, they've got to start so well, because the pressure from the media, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, it's there. And when you see their start, I know what you both did, and this is why I believe they manufacture it. And it's not even inherently a bad thing. When you saw Arsenal start, I'm going to look at George's face, especially when I say this. You went, oh, like this, and the Premier League know this, the media know this. So I'm not surprised. And by the way, if Arsenal were under no pressure, I feel their start would have been easier. If it was Slot under the pressure, I think they'd do it to him. I don't think it's just, again, I don't think it's about Arsenal, United. They've got to get them. It's just who's under the most pressure. Frank's under no pressure at the start of the season, by and large, because he's brand new in. And I do think these things exist. I really do think the Premier League will help to, because again, like I say, by the way, it's no excuse for Arsenal not trying to win. That's the only comeback I get from people. You can't give Arsenal excuses. I'm not saying it is an excuse, because they've still got to play those games at some point in the season. And in fact, win a lot of those games. You could argue they've got a foundation where they might even be considered favourites after the opening 5 or 6 matches if they come through it with maximum points or high points, because then they're going to have an easy run where Liverpool suddenly and City suddenly might get tougher games. So it's not about writing their season off. I just don't trust the Premier League. I'm a bit skeptical of when things happen, if I'm being honest with you.
If they are fixed, they need to bring back Super Sunday. I haven't, like, Super Sunday is now, it's like one good game and then it's like just like an average match. So remember the good old days? It was like Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Liverpool. Then if they are fixed, then they need to do it that way.
When people say, Terry, it can't be manufactured, every fucking season during that top 4 era, it was Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, or United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. They used to alternate it almost every season on the same weekend. That wasn't manufactured. Fuck off. There's no way that happens every year. You also get this. How often you see this season? Go and look. Sorry, boys. Sorry. Go and look. It happens most years. How often do you see the Manchester derby and the Merseyside derby, or the Merseyside derby and the North London? You get like 2 big derbies the same weekend, back to back on Super Sundays. I just don't believe that's random. I wouldn't say it's random. I would say they obviously have they input stuff into the algorithm to say, like, obviously it's entertainment at the end of the day. So like, let's make it as entertaining as possible. So they would probably look at previous fixtures, like say where Arsenal or Man United, and then the algorithm would spit out or fixtures based on that. I wouldn't say it's like someone being like, okay, Arsenal versus United, first game of the season, and then like next one. Do you know what I mean? I'd say it's more just how it's the data is input into it, and then it obviously tries to spit out. I agree that could exactly be how they do it. You're right. Those old fashioned Super Sundays, the teams that were playing each other.
Yeah, there's no way that happens every season.
And it did used to happen every season. You would have, and it wouldn't always be the same 4 teams, but there would always be one big derby followed by another big derby. Sometimes it would be Sunderland versus Newcastle followed by the Manchester derby or the North London derby, and it always felt. Again, I'm not bothered that it was manufactured. It was great entertainment. I'm just, 100%. Some super chats from earlier. This says, 9 days into the window, signing Zubi, backup keeper done. Talks for a striker. I trust the club. I want signings now. and can wait without losing my mind, is what Jason says here. That's probably because you're a grown-up, Jason, to be honest with you. She's grown up. BS, first, sorry, not BS. Benjamin Sheshko first rejected us last season. Now, right.
RB Leipzig.
RB Leipzig want crazy money. He wants crazy wages, and he wants the release clause in his contract. Gyokeres is rejecting clubs left, right, and centre to come and play for us. It's a no-brainer. That is something Arsenal should be considering, really, as well. Someone that's almost falling over backwards to play for them.
Yeah, definitely. From when you heard out that he said, "Look, I don't want Man United. I want Arsenal." And there has been no other really big teams in for him, I suppose, because there's not the need for him, but. Yeah, it's literally that. Just go and get the player that wants to play for your club, especially if it's a big one at that.
Yep. No, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. Namfia says, do you still think Chelsea are going after Garnacho? Him in a Villa shirt. No club wants disruption, despite what the media says. Chelsea ain't going in for him. What did you boys? What did you boys make of the Garnacho post? Rashford replying with my brother, especially after it was a great article I read today. No, it wasn't a great article. It's from Samuel Luckhurst, but it was a funny article because for years the Rashford camp and the Garnacho camp were at war with one another. Suddenly now they're friends. But
they have a common enemy in Man United.
Exactly that. That's what it is, Jamie. They've now combined. Oh yeah, enemy of an enemy is a friend, and that's what they've come together. And that's why I generally thought that what he done with that was he's sending a message that I'm like Rashford. I'm the next Rashford, as in, yeah, I was an academy boy, but now I'm the most hated. Get me out of here. Just like my boy got out of here. And that's why he wore the Aston Villa shirt. I think he's basically trying to say is, I'm now getting the same treatment, but I'm going to thrive. And that's what he's leaning on to there. I generally think that he posted that very smartly, obviously off the back of him getting all the links. He's definitely leaving. And the rat is, because he could have chose any other player. He could have been another shirt. It could have been just a Rashford United. You went and got the Rashford Aston Villa shirt. Come on, man. Yeah. It says a lot. It says a lot.
Yeah, I think it's stupid, and he knows what he's doing. And like he knows, like wearing a Rashford jersey after all the situation that went on with the club, he went to Aston Villa, and then like wearing it and then putting a photo, like whatever about wearing it, and then say he got pictured in it, like say the paparazzi pictured in it, to put it up on his own Instagram, like full well, like you're gonna get backlash from doing that. And I think it's just stupid in a situation where the club is obviously trying to get players in, like you're trying to move away from the narrative where like United is a circus and there's like say bad apples in the club. And I think Amorim is obviously making the right decision, saying that the stuff that went on during the season is not right, and I don't want you in the team. And he's obviously pushed out Rashford as well, and he's making the right decisions. That's the one thing I would say about Amorim. And I think when Ten Hag was there and there was some situations going on with Rashford, I think he had his decision to make. And even the Ronaldo situation, like that kind of dragged on a little bit. And then he obviously did the interview. I think those are decisions that he should have made to get rid of them. But I think with Amorim, he's making the right decisions. I think Garnacho is probably just lashing out in a way that he shouldn't be. And I think it makes him less attractive to other clubs. Like you don't want someone like that that's going to try and aggravate a club once you kind of fall out or there's issues. You want someone that's like competent, that can come in, hit the ground running, not going to have issues with other players. And yeah, I just think it was stupid.
If you look at it from Garnacho's point of view, this is going to make Man United want to sell him even more. And it's just going to be like, let's get this player out of our club. So they might be more willing to accept a slightly lower fee to get him out a bit.
Maybe, yeah.
And that's where I get the point that it might put other clubs off. I get the feeling that via intermediaries and via other clubs, they're asking Garnacho to do this to lower that price. Again, I'm being that cynical with it because a lot of United fans,
it just makes him look bad, though. Do you know what I mean?
No, it does. Equally, I don't sometimes think these players care, and they should. If things go wrong, it can be bad for them. But he's disgruntled, and it's funny because I've seen so many United fans react to this. I didn't say a single word about it yesterday. I just let my Sunday play. I thought I wanted to think about it before I made any comment. Yes, there's pictures of one of our players with a Flamengo shirt on.
Oh, no,
Ahmad with a Brighton shirt on. There's one of our players who got a Flamengo shirt on. I can't remember which one it was. It may have been one of our Brazilian players. I'm not too sure. Video footage of Dorgu playing football with a Roma shirt on, and people saying, well, how is this different? I don't like that argument, because of course it is. There's the message with it. If, for instance, Ahmad had the Brighton shirt on and there was a hidden message as to feels better when I'm wearing this. I think Xerxes took a picture of Alcaraz prison and wrote, like, basically, this feels familiar. Oh, he's digging the club out. And he's probably talking about how shit it feels to be injured and be on the sidelines. And like, that was my interpretation, because I saw his story. But yet everyone's trying to go, oh, we should be toxic with him as well. My view is just very much this. I think I think Garnacho knows exactly what he's doing. He's picked another player who's also disgruntled at the club because they're being ousted. It's the reaction that I see from United fans when they go, look at the culture that Ruben Amorim has created. Look at our star players and the way they're behaving. It's all on the manager. And some youngsters may have only experienced this for the first time, and may have only had, their parents may have only given them permission a year or so ago to have social media, and they didn't go through this with previous players in the last 12 years. But this is why I've stated for over a 12-year period now, I don't care who the manager is or the head coach is, the club have to back the person that's in that position because of the position, not because of the individual. This is what Man United players do when they start to not get their own way. They throw digs out, they say things they shouldn't, they try and undermine the people in charge. And we have a percentage of our fan base every time, and it's different people each time because it depends upon the player in question. If you hate Garnacho, it's like, get out of here, shit. If you love him, it's, I can't believe the club are treating you this way. We've become player FC. So many of our fans are emotionally connected to players over that of the betterment of the football club. And if, for instance, Ineos were to allow now these players to win this argument, it's a guarantee that Ruben Amorim fails, just like the previous managers. But it also then, for me, would guarantee the next manager fails. Because as soon as the next guy tries to up the levels or implement a style or discipline a player, or actually go, do you know what? I know he's a fan favorite, but he's not good enough for us. Every time that happens, if the reaction is this and we keep siding with the players, we're never, ever, ever going to get back to the very top of the game. So it's disappointing to see. I'm not going to hate on Garnacho like others have done. I'm not going to call him nasty names or anything like that. But I'm not even like siding with Amorim. I'm doing what I think is best for the club, and insubordinate behavior from adults is unacceptable. These are not school children that are like a 14-year-old mouthing off at a teacher. This is grown men. And my view is always this in life: other than extreme circumstances, sexual harassment, physical abuse, actually being hit, your boss making you bring your toothbrush in and clean the toilets with them. I'm talking something horrendous. Just because your boss is a bit of a dickhead, even if your boss is a dickhead, that is no excuse for you not to give 100% in your job, for you to do absolutely everything for the company that's paying you and the customers or the fans or whatever it may be. And if you're a school teacher and the head teacher's a bit of a dick, that doesn't mean you shouldn't teach the kids in that classroom and give them a proper education. There's no excuse. And I despise the characteristic of people, so not the individuals, but I despise the characteristic of people where they're like, nah, fuck that. Your boss messaged you about just down tools, bruv. I just don't like that attitude in life because it has a negative impact upon people that are innocent, and I don't like it. So for me, I don't care if Ruben's right or wrong. The reaction to it from the players is unacceptable. You might have to fix both problems, but I'm not going to side with one and not the other. For me, this has been going on for 12 years. It's toxic as fuck. I don't care that it's Garnacho. I don't care that it's Amorim. It's about the owners of the club finally stamping out this type of behavior. And from their point of view internally, if they know what Ruben's doing is right, then they have to back him to the absolute hilt. If it turns out Ruben's being an arsehole, maybe you get rid of him. Maybe you discipline him. But you still discipline the players for behaving this way. You've got to oust this behavior. And until it goes, United will never get back to the top of the game, ever. It's impossible. It's a rot in the wood, in the framework of our house. And it doesn't matter about the tiles or the brick. It doesn't matter about the furniture and the flat screen TV. If the structure is rotten, that fucking building is collapsing. So we've got to get rid of this behavior, 100%.
I would say United, I agree with you. I think the culture around United, I think it's something that's well documented, has been toxic for a long time. And I think the moves that Amorim is making now, coming in, he obviously got to understand the squad. He felt like Rashford and Garnacho are not players that can take them to the next level, or we're going to be a detriment to the culture of what he wanted to build. So I think he's making the right decision, and Ineos are backing him. Like, one thing I would look at is when Arteta went into Arsenal and he had the Aubameyang situation, and he was like, you're turning up late, you're captain of the club, you should be setting the example. And he just got rid of him, even though he was one of their star players at the time. I don't think Garnacho was like a United star player. He's not a Bruno Fernandes in the same way. And I just think there's going to be a lot of issues, or like growing pains is probably the best way to put it, with Amorim to be able to build what he wants to build. And it's going to take time. There's going to be some issues that are conflicting for the fan base, because, as you said, there's going to be emotional attachment to some players, and that will cause issues within the fan base. But I think, from my point of view, an outsider looking in, I think culturally there's a shift within United that has to happen. And I think Amorim is making the right steps so far to be able to change that. It's just, there's a lot more steps that need to be taken, and he has to navigate through that with the club, which sometimes you might not get right, and then he'll go down the wrong path, and then you start over, which is an issue that United have probably found at the minute.
I just think, similar to the Rashford situation, just need a fresh start sometimes. You need to get rid of a player. You need to start again. I think Man United, obviously, a few seasons ago, had all those problems with the leaks and, everything from the dressing room coming out. I think just from those 3 or 4 years ago, when you was having all these issues, this is where you just need a manager to come in and completely start afresh, get rid of most of those players. So Garnacho, Rashford are probably where a lot of those issues will come from. Because that's all right. Although I don't think for Rashford in particular, I think he's a player that's given a lot to the club. So I wouldn't say he has attitude problems or something. But there's a clear standout from both of these players that they're not the most, just keep your head down, get to it, guys. They're very vocal with their feelings. So when things haven't gone right, they've both been pretty vocal about it. I think it's clear for me and for the club that you need to move on from Garnacho. And this is just one of those situations where it'll be amicable at the end. Once Garnacho leaves, you leave, you guys can move on. And Amorim can start to get rid of those problems within the squad, so then he can evaluate again. I still think there probably is still a few players he needs to get rid of. I think similar to Tottenham, when you have players that have been there for 7-8 years and just accepted that mediocrity, you need to get rid of them. The Luke Shaws of the world, the Lindelofs of the world, those types of players that are just in and around the squad for the sake of it at this point, they need to go. But throughout Amorim's time, I'm sure he'll get the time to go do that. So getting rid of these players, the Rashfords, the Garnachos, it's just part of the process, man.
Lou here says people who came of working age during the COVID pandemic do not have the social skills or the work ethic that we expect from people at the age traditionally they are developing later. I think there's an element of truth here in terms of the amount of remote working in the real world. And I was actually out with my old colleagues from the bank last week, and quite a few of the older guys have retired and stuff now, and they've said, speak to people and they say it's getting harder and harder because everyone's working from home, and they're trying to get people still to come back into the office like 5 days a week, and people are like, no, I can't because of this reason and that reason. And it's what's interesting about it is no one had a problem with it for fucking 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Suddenly there's all these reasons why people can't come in, and part of me is like, I already know what the real reasons are, but nobody wants to admit it. There's always anomalies where some people do have issues, but you're looking and just think it's because you just know it's easier to get out of bed at 5 to 9, log your computer in, have a cup of tea and chill, than it is to wake up at 6, shower, get the suit on, commute. And I do get it and I understand it, but there's always a lazy element. I think in football, Lou, where it's obviously a little bit different, is it's your dream job. So that I wouldn't imagine. But what happens is, and some of these players won't even notice it until they leave. Garnacho will leave and join a different dressing room. And I bet if like Scott McTominay was to be honest now, if you were to sit him down, you might not want to say it on camera. But if you got him privately and sat him down and said, what's been the difference since you've been at Napoli to Man United? I bet, because he's quite an articulate guy, I bet he could break it down. I bet he could explain the differences in behaviors, the way people, things and it's minute things. By the way, Man United, it's a percentage thing. United are a terrible team compared to Liverpool's champions, but you're not talking about a 50% difference in the way the dressing room acts. You're probably talking about a 5 to 10% difference. But that 5% to 10% difference is massive at the elite end of the spectrum of sport. And there's just no way this Man United dressing room behaves like Liverpool's, like City's invariably does, like Arsenal's have done in the last few years. There's just no way the behavior, the attitude is the same. And yes, they've got better players than us, which helps. but there's just something off key. So I'm just, anything like this, I think these players have got to go. I totally agree with the viewers. United players spotlight straight away. It's true, but again, that doesn't help. But at the same time, that's why the club has got to create a culture where that gets controlled, as opposed to. I had a friend that used to say this. He used to be one of these guys who dressed quite flamboyantly. He'd be like, I couldn't wear that. And he'd go, yeah, do you know why, Terry? Because I wear my clothes. I don't let them wear me. And I laughed. I was like, that's such a great saying. Like some people, you like this, George, you dress quite like trendy, fashionably.
Yeah.
Some people can put that on and they sit there and they I don't know if I look all right. And it can look bad where some people put it on, their shoulders go back and go, yes, what I'm wearing. And I think that happens sometimes at Man United. We let the players run the club instead of the club running the players. And their egos can get out of control because there is a lot of attention that comes with it. And you've got to keep their feet on the ground. And you're never going to be able to do that if for 12 years it's been acceptable. And listen, Rashford did this. He'd miss a game, dropped for one match, Tuesday morning. The agent's been out looking at other clubs, thinking about options to leave that quickly. It's like, bruv, we can't be allowing that at Man United. It's for me anyway. Bruv, you really think Ronaldo versus Garnacho, man needs a slap old school style, then see how cocky he is and loud. Did any of you ever have a job where your bosses used to get like in your face and shout at you? Like, did you work in that generation?
No.
I thought it was fucking great. And I was in Phones for You was like a bear pit of sales. It was like you got shit every day if you didn't hit numbers. And I remember once my boss really screamed in my face because I didn't want to sell someone. I felt guilty selling someone a phone because they had good, okay credit, but didn't earn a lot of money. And I thought they'd go, they might be able to afford it. Got in my face and he went fucking mad. But I tell you, it motivated me. I was like, right, tomorrow I'm going to fucking smash it. I love that shit. I used to love it. Not everyone did. Some people used to cry. And I'd be like, what are you crying? What are you crying for? I don't know. For me, it was like, it's just words.
I feel like nowadays, if you've done that, you just end up getting in
you
a fight.
got prison probably
you
now.
get a case, yeah. You
go in prison. I remember once even when I first joined the bank, we fucked up one day with a mystery shopper. The sales were really bad, queue time slow, and our boss Christine, we had a morning meeting out the back called the morning huddle, and this is a big branch I worked in, like 30 of us, and she just walked around pointing. She didn't swear, but she was on the edge of it. And Christine, she actually employed me in the bank. She's a lovely woman, born in England, but from a Jamaican heritage. And she got so angry, the kind of the Jamaican twang was coming out in her voice. And I was like, growing up where I did in East London, it was like, she's really angry, right? But I just took it as right. I left that meeting. I went outside. I prepped for the day. I'm like, I'm going to smash it for her today. I don't want to go through that again. Loads of other people, I'm going to go to HR. That's not fair. And I'm sitting there going, fuck. In my head, I'm like, fuck off. Just go and work harder. And it won't happen again. Like, I don't know, man. The world's crazy. He's doing all that. What if no one wants Garnacho because he's now got a rep and no one. Look, people do want him. People do want him. People will buy him. We've seen players do worse and still get new clubs. Do you know what I mean? Trent's supposedly a traitor rat, but the biggest club in the world have bought him. Do you know what I mean? So if everything Liverpool fans have said about Trent is true,
that's why he's a traitor rat.
Yeah, the biggest club in the world want him. So I don't think what you're saying is right. Clubs will still sign him. They will. If it's the same, it's the same with Noni and Jackson. Both need to go with attitudes. See, Noni Madueke, I don't see any issues with. But I know he had that.
I always see him smiling and happy.
Yeah, Noni looks like
this is just that mad MFC thing that people have created on Twitter has made him seem like he's got attitude problems. I don't think he has any attitude. You've never actually seen him have a bad attitude.
No, I don't. I agree. Jackson, I think Jackson's got a good work ethic. He's just become unreliable on the pitch for those tackles. I think it's different to what Garnacho's doing. I get why you want to sell him, and I agree with it. That's 2 red cards in 5 games. He's losing his head. He's behaving like Cantona without delivering like Cantona. So, yeah, move him on. But for me, I wouldn't put Noni in the same category as what the likes of Garnacho are doing personally. I wouldn't. Terry, what what Garnacho is doing count as an attitude problem? You could put it into that category. I think he feels he's better than he is. His family believe he's being mistreated, and they're trying to force and push him move out of the club. And if you like Garnacho, you'll say it's not an attitude problem. He's getting his worth. You know, if you get this in life, don't you? You know, you have a lady will cheat on her husband, and she'll have some friends that go, "You're a tramp." She'll have some friends that go, "No, girl, he weren't satisfying you. Go get what you're worth." And men do the same. Men do it to their boys. It'll be, bruv, you shouldn't do that to your wife. There'll be others going, bruv, you ain't getting it at home. You might as well get it elsewhere. You get that in life. It's just so normal. And for me, put all of that aside, all the opinions aside, this behavior from Garnacho, Rashford, and dozens before them is never going to help to create a team that wins major league titles. I don't believe it for a single second. And listen, you can be a cheat. You know, you can cheat on your wife. You can go out drinking sometimes. You can sleep with grannies. You can kick racists in the stadium. You can do all that if your attitude for this is like people go, oh, you had bad players before. So Ryan Giggs was sleeping with his brother's wife. Yeah, but he was dedicated to the football club. And by the way, if Garnacho was trending today because he cheated on his wife, do you know how many fucks I'd give? None. It's their personal life. I don't care. I see more people now get annoyed about our player to cheat that makes him a scumbag. Oh, but you didn't think he was a scumbag for how he treated his football club. No, I don't care about that. I'm like, we got this all backwards. What they do in their private lives, as long as it isn't illegal, I don't care. What they do for my football club is where I care. Do you know what I'm saying? Garnacho could be having a sexual relationship with a fucking barrage balloon. I wouldn't give a shit. But if he's disrespecting my club and isn't working hard enough or isn't good enough, I care. We've got to get back to caring about the important shit in football. By the way, I want to clarify, I don't believe Garnacho's in a relationship with a barrage balloon. For anyone, you've got to say that because the toaster people are watching. Do you think Liverpool are going to go and get Gheui? Do you reckon that's going to happen, Jamie?
You know, I did a video on this yesterday. I think they should go out and get Gheui to replace Konate because the Konate contract situation is getting a little bit. I'm getting a little bit worried about it because he hasn't signed a contract. There's been no progression on it, and with a year left, Madrid are obviously talking about telling them similar to what they did with Trent, like don't sign a new contract, come to us on a free.
Bad
so
player.
I would be saying to because Gheui, I think the one thing he's worried about is if he comes into Liverpool is he wants somewhere where he'll be starting because obviously with the World Cup coming up next year. But I would be saying to Konate, if you don't sign a contract, then you're not going to be starting. We're going to bring Gheui to come in and start ahead of him. I think obviously I'd say Konate is better than Gheui. I think him and Van Dijk have a very good partnership. But do I think we'll go get him? I think a player on the last year of his deal, Crystal Palace want to sell him. He'll want to go to a team that are competing for big trophies. I think we're going to go for him. I think there's obviously been confirmation Liverpool have an interest in him. I think you can get him for a good fee. He's homegrown. He's good on the ball. I think he's only turned 25. He can take that next step in his career to maybe because some players people always talk about like players that like maybe say clubs like Crystal Palace that or whatever Southampton, Brighton, when they move to take a step up to a team competing with trophies all the time, they need to be able to take that next step in their career and develop. And I think Gheui is at that stage now, and I think he could come into a Liverpool team and go to another level in terms of his ability. So I think Liverpool will go for him and maybe take our spending to over 250 million. So I think it would be a good option. I think he's probably the best option out there right now. And I think he would fit in well at Liverpool.
I don't think he's necessarily the best option, but I do agree in saying it's a good option. I think, like you said, for his age, there probably isn't many centre-backs that have been captain of their team off the back of a big season winning an FA Cup. He's primed for that next big move. Like you said, 25, you've got him. He'll be available for the next 5 to 6 years. So he's a long-term replacement for whoever you do replace him with. Now, I think he's obviously not at the same level of Konate. I think Konate is a better centre-back, but I think playing next to Van Dijk will help Gheui improve his game and sort of take those steps forward. I feel like for me, when watching him, he's a very good all-round centre-back. He does everything at a good 7 out of 10 level, but I don't necessarily see where he excels necessarily. But like I said, in a World Cup year next year, he's going to want to go to a team where he's going to play a lot of football. So if Liverpool are to sign him, it's going to have to be on the basis that Konate does leave. But if he does come in, it's a good move, good signing. The fee, I think that's where the questions will come, because if you guys are going to pay what they wanted from last summer, I think it was 70 mil they wanted from last summer.
Yeah, they're not going to get that now, because I think what's being reported is 50 to 60, but I said Liverpool are going to try to go in for like 40, and I think the other thing that will come in is that if other clubs come in from, like I think Man City could do with another centre back. I think Arsenal are okay, but it depends who else will come in from. And I think Liverpool right now is probably the best option for him if I'm thinking about like where he could maybe fit into a team. And
yeah, I think the only other clubs looking at him are like Tottenham and Newcastle. So it's the level below you guys. So you guys are definitely going to be the more attractive option. But yeah, if it's a deal for what you've said there, 45, 50 million pounds, very good deal. You really can't go wrong for that price. Probably not many centre backs you're going to get at that level. So it's a good price. But yeah, once you start peaking at the 60 to 70s, there's some better centre backs available.
I don't think Liverpool will pay that for a centre back right now. I think with Kwanzaa going, that's where the money is probably being freed up, and they obviously want to bring in cover. I think Gomez, the injury concerns they have with Gomez is the big issue, but I think they do need to bring in someone to replace Kwanzaa because you don't want to be too short. I think Konate's injury record isn't the best, so like he definitely could pick up something. I think Van Dijk is just a mainstay. He's always there, other than the one season he's had a bad injury. So, and yeah, like that. Like I think that's a good point as well. Like anyone that goes in beside Van Dijk automatically just becomes better because of the level that he raises them to. So. Yeah, I think Konate and Gheui, the two of them fighting out. I think Liverpool are going to be playing like 60 to near, like, probably be 38 games. It'd be 50 to 60 games next season. So he's definitely going to get game time if he does come in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I like Gheui, you guys, man. I like that a lot. I was saying last night on my other channel, Terry Flewers TV, like sobering, genuinely sobering if you get him. I actually don't think there's any difference between him and Konate, and I think he'll prove that in a better team. I think sometimes if you go back and look at Van Dijk at Southampton, a lot more mistakes, a lot more issues, a lot more times he was caught out, and I think that's just due to the fact he was playing with lesser players, and you get exposed a little bit more. You know, the midfield doesn't protect you as well, which means you step out more. It's harder to keep a solid line because you're not playing with players as good as Robertson, as Konates, as Matip's, Trent's, etc. The goalkeeper's not as good, so even when you do make a mistake, you're conceding more goals, and I think it'll make you look worse sometimes. I think you put when Gheui plays for England, that's why he was our best player at the Euros. He just suddenly had a better midfield and a better
players around him,
and suddenly he didn't. I was worried about him at the Euros, going, is he going to handle it? Because I didn't watch as much of him as I do all the other centre backs. I don't watch as much of Crystal Palace, but he just looked like he was gliding. I look at it now, what a mistake this is by Chelsea. What a mistake this is by Chelsea letting him go, because he is, for me, well ahead of every other centre-back currently at their football club. And if you guys can pick him up for around 30 million, and again, from Palace's point of view, look, they might not have gone on to won the FA Cup and things, although I don't know if he played in the final. I want to say he was out. Maybe he did play out. I might be wrong on that. But didn't Spurs offer like 70 million, including add-ons in January
55,
for him?
Yeah, 55 plus 15. And
15. That's again, if he might have played in the FA Cup final. I could have absolutely misremembered FA Cup final.
No, he did play.
He did play. Yeah. He must have played. So yeah, they might not have gone on to have won that trophy. So they probably don't regret it as fans, to be fair. That was a silly thing for me to say. But yeah, I just think to myself, he could be phenomenal for you guys, and it's not that expensive.
It's a very Liverpool transfer, is what I would say. Yes. It's just like they find good market opportunities like that, and they go out and just buy them. Like you think of, I know it's obviously a different situation, but you think back to like Salah, Mane, even Konate when they brought him in, like how good he's been. You're talking about someone that's probably worth 60 or 70 million himself now. Just players that they brought in for like 35 million, 40 million. They're really good at finding opportunities like that. And with him having a year in his contract, I just think Crystal Palace are going to want to sell him. They don't want him going on a free next year. It's just the kind of perfect situation if they were to get him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's excellent. And the fact you're getting him for the same price you're selling Kwanzaa for, it looks like you're going to, there's reports that you might, no, I thought it was the standard. It actually turns out it was from the Sun. So we're taking it with a pinch of salt, about 40 million for Harvey Elliott. But
yeah, they have a buyback clause with Kwanzaa as well. So like if it goes on and becomes good, they should just buy him back.
Yeah, it's crazy. You guys are just out there doing bits. And I still think you're going to go for HIJACK. I still think it still hasn't been shut down. I think you're going to make the move. And we had a guy that called in, actually. He's a Newcastle fan, but he lives in Sweden. He gave a really good breakdown of, why the press, for instance, he was saying the press in Sweden really want Gyokeres to go to United, because there's still, even though he's 27, there's this belief that maybe the pressure of having to go in and deliver straight away title races, he could succumb to it, which I was like, fair, like, you know, that's their player. On Gyokeres, he goes, there's almost no news about, sorry, on Isak, there's almost no news on him leaving. He said the belief is, yes, if his head's completely turned by Liverpool, he could push for the move and Liverpool could get him. But basically, they're saying he's such a nice bloke, he won't do that. So that's the thing I think for Newcastle fans are going to be hoping on it, because that's the only way it goes. If he says to you, I'd love to join, but I'm not going to force my way out of Newcastle, I love it here, I think it's impossible, because Newcastle's owners will just say no to everything you bid. Where if the player says, I really want to come, I think that's where Liverpool get it done.
I mean, how often do we even see players push for moves anymore? Maybe like 10 years ago, it used to be very often. Players would just be like, yeah, I want to leave and start doing that. I'm not turning up to train and stuff. But over the last 5-6 years, it's very rare that you get players moving like that.
But I think that's because the well-run clubs sell them. I think you saw it. We use City as the example because of what they've achieved in the last 10 years. When Sane wanted to go, that happened really quickly. When Ferran Torres wanted to leave, and again, Ferran Torres wasn't their best player, but the premise is the same. They just got rid of him. Chelsea went through this, and this was when Chelsea was still winning, you know, in title races. Look how easy it was for the likes of, again, the money had to be right, but Hazard wanted to leave, cool. Matic wanted to leave, cool. They were well run back then, Chelsea, and I think that's what you do. Man United with Cristiano Ronaldo could have said no way, and then he becomes disgruntled and starts kicking off. But when you're well run, you get the right money, but I think you sell these players. Liverpool, Coutinho, convinced him, but in the end, it was like, yep, we'll let you go with our blessing. Good luck. We'll get the right money for you. Because I think if they'd have kept him against his will, that's when you create a horrible dynamic in your dressing room. And funnily enough, United have done this loads. We've done the right thing by not selling someone. Well, not selling someone like Pogba was I love Pogba. And I don't blame Pogba per se. I never have done. But when his agent was touting him 18 months in, 2 years into clubs on a regular basis, we should have sat down and said, do you really want to be here? He said, no. We should have gone, no problem. As long as we get the right money for you, we will sell. Instead, he done 2 or 3 more years at the club, and it just became more and more toxic because he didn't really want to be there. The fans were getting annoyed. He was falling out with managers because they could clearly see he didn't want to be there.
Yeah,
we know he didn't want to be there because you wouldn't be having your agent consistently talk to other clubs on your behalf. But Man United refused to talk business, and it created a problem. So that for me is, I don't think you'd see it publicly play out with Isak. But I think if he walked into the office on Monday morning and said, look, guys, I want to go to Liverpool. It's a dream. Thank you all. And was professional about it. Newcastle was so well run, they would say, if we get X as a minimum, we'll get the business done. He'll say, yep, no problem, but I'll cause no trouble. I'll come to training. I'll do all the right things. And then I think it happens. I think clubs have realized holding players against their will generally has no positive effect on the footballing element of the team. So you are right, George. You don't see it play out anymore, but I think it's because clubs have realized it don't work at the end of the day. It just because you guys had it with Kane for it. You know, when that stuff happened with Kane, it's just not a good look for everybody. Do you know what I mean? Because he was definitely told he could go because he loves your club too much to. He was because what I read from really credible people is he said all these goodbyes on the last training session of the season, hugging the sort of the dinner ladies and the kit people, saying goodbye. Like they told him he was going to be allowed to go, and then they fucking went back on it. Like, and then Harry Kane got all the shit. Do you know what I mean? It was like, hang on, you told me not to come back, and now you're telling me I've got to. Crazy.
Got to learn, man. Gentleman agreement's not a real thing. So hopefully he doesn't use any of those in any more of his negotiations, man.
I hear you. I really do. Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned into the show today. We've got more to talk about later on the Top 6 show, so make sure you guys get yourselves across to that. Footy Judge Mo is live now, so go and support him over there. George, let everyone know where they can find you, brother, across socials.
Yeah, man. Do-Rag Diaries. That's where you catch me, YouTube, TikTok, and all the other stuff. Doing more content on every team, so not just Tottenham no more. So come and join me whenever you can.
And yourself, Jamie?
Yeah, just the football story on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So yeah, find me over there.
We have a super chat for you, George. Actually, it says, "Is that Gojo in the background?"
Yeah. That's Gojo. It's a anime character. That's above my head. This one, yeah.
Oh, right. I can't see it because the timestamp's there. And I was like, I thought they meant the teddy bear. And I was like, oh, is that a teddy bear on the wall? It looks like
it's like an LV teddy bear type of
there we
one of those things.
There we go. Listen, thank you all for tuning in, people. Hit the like and the share button before you go. We're back at 6 p.m. for the Top 6 show. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. We'll see you all again soon. Peace.